The deck, the part of the skateboard you stand on, is made up of several thin sheets of wood called veneers. Inexpensive boards use fewer sheets and lesser quality woods. These high-end boards use a full 7 sheets of top-quality maple. Only the top and bottom veneer sheets will actually show, so their exposed side is sanded smooth, and the other side gets a coat of glue. The inside sheets, meanwhile, go through the glue spreader, which saturates both sides. This adhesive is specially formulated to withstand vibration and shock. Workers stack 35 sheets of veneer, the equivalent of 5 skateboard decks, and place them in a mold. Skateboards vary in size and shape, so there's a different mold for each model. A press applies 44 tons of pressure, compacting the sheets and bending them to the shape of the mold. Excess glue squeezes out the sides, binding the 5 decks into one block. They'll be separated later. The block comes out after 3 hours. Now they drill 2 sets of holes through the block. These are for mounting the front and back trunks, the pivoting metal axles that enable the skateboard to turn. Now it's time to give the rectangular block a skateboard contour. They select a template in the general shape of the model they're making. It has pins underneath that fit snugly in the truck holes they've just drilled. This holds the template still while they do what's called the rough cut, sawing around the template, leaving a 1-inch margin. Cutting off the excess separates the 5 decks. Now they contour each deck individually. Using a precise template, they run the deck against the cutting blade until they have the final shape. Now, using a router, they round off the top and bottom edges. Then they smooth all the surfaces against a drum sander. Now they switch to a buffer, which uses a combination of brushes and fine grit sandpaper to remove any rough wood fibers. The deck is now perfectly smooth. The next stop is the finishing room, where they first spray the decks with a colorless primer. This seals the pores in the wood veneer, so they won't absorb the coat of lacquer that comes next. The primer takes 2 hours to dry. Next, they spray on a coat of clear or colored lacquer. It leaves a protective high-gloss finish. The lacquer also takes 2 hours to dry. The final step of the finishing process is applying the decoration. The bold graphic designs are printed on plastic sheets. The skateboard factory either buys them ready-made or produces them in-house using its own silkscreen printing equipment. Workers center the design sheet, then feed the deck through a machine that applies heat and slight pressure simultaneously. The heat, 390 degrees Fahrenheit, induces a chemical reaction